Hello, and welcome to a new show on my channel, which is maybe weekly, maybe every other week, and I'd like to call it, What is Syris reading this week? And I'll show you, because I read about one comic book trade a day, and I'll show you the trades I've read that day. So, up first, it's not actually a comic trade, it is a game called Iris Fall. I played this game, it takes about 3 to 4 hours to complete if you're just trying to complete it. It has 8 rooms in it, and this game is great. This game is a puzzle game, and you may think, well, it's a puzzle, I don't know, but it's pretty fun, and it's not too long, so if you're up for a quick game, maybe you want to test your brain. Good. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Next, we have Runaways, the Complete Collection, Volume 2. This consists of the first 3 trades of the second Runaway series, starting with the introduction of Victor Mancha, going all the way to the death of one of the Runaways. The average price is about $35, which it's better than buying 3 trades, which if they're about $17 each, is about $56, give or take a few dollars. This is a great series. All you need to know is the first Runaway series. 5 kids, Carolina Dean, Molly Hayes, Nico Mormamu, I don't really remember how to pronounce her name, Alex Wilder, and Chase Steen all find out their parents are villains, so they run away. There's a traitor among them, though, and it turns out eventually it's Alex Wilder. So eventually, after all the trials and tribulation, they go back to their parents, and Alex betrays them, and a giant demigod thing kills Alex and the parents. So they escape after being the demigods, and they get a new character, Victor Mancha, starting in this series. It's a long read. I maybe consider it splitting in 2 to 3 days. It's a great series though. And there's 2 trades remaining, and that's the end of that. So I recommend this. Give it 8.5 out of 10. Next thing is Amazing Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. Now this was a big event back in the 80s, 90s, about 93. This was a huge event because Carnage decided, I'm gonna attack everything and who can stop me? So he escapes Ravencroft. Shriek, Doppelganger, Demi-Goblin, and Carrion are on his team. Then you get Venom, which has Team Venom, which is Venom, Spider-Man, Black Cat, Morbius, and Cloak. And they're all going to fight Carnage's team. So it's a big ensemble, more characters are added later, and it's a big brawl. It's good, but it's a little slow-paced, so 7 out of 10, 6.5. Pick it up if you find it, maybe at the library, but I wouldn't recommend buying it. Next is Siege by Bendis. And this is pretty much the end of his Dark Avengers, Norman Osborn running S.H.I.E.L.D., the Hammer Saga. This is the siege on Asgard. So Norman Osborn says, Asgard's a threat. We need to take care of it. We need to get rid of Asgard, knock it off the planet. And so he has his Dark Avengers, and they agree with him. They need to get Asgard off the plane so they could be more powerful and take over more of the United States. And they think Asgard doesn't deserve a place on Earth. So Norman agrees, and they go to attack Asgard. But then the Avengers reassemble. And if you want to find out the rest, you'll have to pick this trade up, because it's a great story. It goes places you wouldn't think. It's only about, the main one's 4 issues long, but it has some of the tie-ins that tie in directly to the main siege. This, I give a solid 8.5 out of 10. Would read, pick it up if you find it. Next, the next 2 need as a duo, because without one another, you couldn't understand. You essentially have to read 2 trades at the same time. Amazing Spider-Man number 11, Last Remains, and Amazing Spider-Man Last Remains Companion. Now, this was what Nick Spencer was building up to. because in the first issue, he found this villain named Kindred, and we were like, oh, who's Kindred? They reveal his identity later. I'm not going to say, because it's in this, and, you know. So, after all this time, they reveal Kindred's identity, and it leads to battles and battles with Spider-Man. But you see, it just isn't a conclusive end to the Kindred series. It feels like there should be more, because it feels like these 6 issues that they give it, and including this, it's about 11 issues, it doesn't feel like it really works well with the character after all they've done with him. So, if you pick up just one of these, it's not worth reading. If you find both, maybe, just maybe, it's not that great. I give it a 4 out of 10. Wouldn't really recommend reading it. And it's after such a complicated story with the Sin Eater, it's just not that great a series in my personal opinion. Well, the series is great, that story isn't. Next is one I really enjoyed, Miss Marvel Outlawed. This is volume 3 of the Magnificent Miss Marvel run. To read this story without reading the other 2 trades, well, it's the final one in the Magnificent Miss Marvel run. To read the story without reading the other trades, you will have to know that she went to an alien planet. She got a new costume called the Storm Ranger costume, which was a Kree armor designed specifically for the Storm Ranger, which she turned out to be. Then, when she went back home, she found her father had an incurable disease because he had been exposed to Terrigen Mist, but he's an inhuman. So, her father went to the hospital. At that point, a villain attacked. So she fought him, blah, blah, blah. Stuff happens. Then the Storm Ranger turns out it's a sentient being and it wants to kill. But she won't allow it to kill. So it separates from her and becomes an entity in itself, going to kill one of her previous friends turned villains. And to find out the rest. But the outlawed part, that's the first half of this story. And that involves in Outlawed #1, dragons and a military attack a school. For what reason? But they do. So the young heroes, the champions, which consists of Nova, Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Viv Vision, and young Cyclops, are defending the school while a branch of it collapses. And Kamala, in her Miss Marvel form, takes the blunt of it, then changes out of her Miss Marvel form. So they establish a new law called Kamala's Law, which essentially which wants to bring in young heroes and stop them because it caused this big destruction. Young heroes obviously don't want that to happen, so Outlawed happens. And this is the Miss Marvel side of it. The main story is contained in the Outlaw story, which either has a trade or is coming out with one. There was also Power Pack Outlawed, I think Champions Outlawed. There may have been a Spider-Man Outlawed. I'm not so sure about that. But this one, it's a great series. Love Miss Marvel. Great story. 9 out of 10. Next is one that was really hyped, and it's Spider-Gwen. Gwenum. It involves Spider-Gwen after the events of... Oh, what was that book called? It was after the events of Predators, where she removes something from Harry Osborn. She removes the lizard serum from Harry Osborn, and it's a Venom symbiote. And, well, there's not much I can say about this without spoiling it, but she fuses with Gwenum, obviously, because, Gwenum. This story is great. I recommend reading this 100%, and I give it a 9.5 out of 10. That's it. That was my first batch of what is Syris reading this week. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, do the usual. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great day.